Hey friends, Amanda Prope, certified life coach here to talk with you today about goals. And I want to talk with you about this important subject because I know that we are all always trying to set and accomplish goals. But there's a way that we normally do it, which is creating a whole bunch of burnout and exhaustion and resentment. And there's a better way to do it. And that's by using the model that I've been teaching you guys. So I'm really excited to dive into this with you today and to show you the difference in how we can actually create the results in our life without creating the resentment and the exhaustion and the burnout so that we are ready to move on to our next goal when it comes time. So let's take a look at this in how we think that we should be accomplishing our goals and how we can use the model to accomplish our goals. So right now, most of us tend to think that after we've set a goal, if we just do all the actions necessary and just keep pushing forward, we're just going to keep going and going and going. And we think that if we do that, that we're then going to create our result that we want, which is accomplishing whatever goal it is we've set. So this works whether it's a health goal, a financial goal, a family goal, a house goal, like you can put it towards anything, right? So we think if we do all the actions, we're going to create that result that we want. And then once we create that result, we think that that's when we're going to feel happy and accomplished and successful. But guess what? We tend to feel that for about 3 seconds. And then after we feel that, we feel all the burnout and the exhaustion and the resentment of having to just push and push and push. Friends, it doesn't work this way. Our actions don't create our results, and our results do not create our feelings. Okay? This is how we create our results. Our feelings are driven by our thoughts. So we can't create the feelings that we want just because we've done something. If we've pushed ourselves so hard, all we're going to create is resentment and exhaustion and burnout. Okay, so stop doing your goals this way. We cannot action our way to feelings. The actions are down here. They come after the feelings. Okay, so here's a better way to work on goals that you want to accomplish. Okay, so we're going to put whatever goal it is that we want in our circumstance line, and it needs to be very specific. And we want it specific because we want to be able to have it quantifiable. We want to be able to see that we are moving forward towards the actual goal that we have set. Okay. Now, here's the tricky part. When we're setting goals, after we have set whatever that specific goal is, we're actually going to jump past this thought line for just a minute, and we're going to come down here to the feeling line. The reason why we're going to do that is because we want to know, what feeling do I want to have that's going to cause me to do all the actions necessary to create this result. Nothing else is going to drive our actions or our results. It is simply our feeling. And our feeling comes from our thought. So what feeling do you want? And then once we've figured out what feeling that is that you want, then you can come back up here to the thought line and be like, what thought would help me to feel this way? So let me give you 2 examples in my life just so that you can see what I'm talking about, okay? So 2 summers ago, I ran my very first full marathon for the first time. And I had only done a handful of half marathons prior to that. And so my goal was to run a full marathon without stopping in under 4 hours. That was my goal. It was very specific, right? So I could quantifiably see if I'm getting closer to that goal and if I'm going to be able to achieve it, right? So after setting that goal, I then jumped down to my feeling line and was like, what feeling do I need to feel to be able to accomplish that goal? And I decided I needed to feel determined. I needed to be determined to show up every day and do all that was required to be able to make this result happen, to be able to run that full marathon. So after I created the feeling of determination, I was like, what thought is probably best going to get me to creating my result? And what I landed on is, I will do whatever it takes. Now, for some, that might not work. That's fine. We're all different people. We all have different feelings that drive us. But for me, to run a marathon the way that I wanted to, I needed to feel determined. And to feel determined, I needed to think the thought, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so from having this thought and creating this feeling, I was able to show up every day doing what I needed to do to accomplish my goal of running a full marathon. Now, here's the thing. During my training process, it was a 5-month training process. I got hurt about 2 months in. My training plan went out the window of what I thought it was going to look like. I ended up having to learn how to ride a road bike and ended up doing my last 2 months of training on a bike. I didn't even get to run more than I think it was 2 miles was my longest run. I ran twice, and I ran 1 mile and I ran 1 2-mile before my marathon run. So if I would have had the feeling of doubt or fear in my feeling line, there's no way I would have done what I needed to do to make my result happen. I would have given up, most likely. But because I had the thought, I will do whatever it takes, I was willing to learn how to ride a road bike, which I hadn't rode a bike since I was a kid. I was terrified at first. My dad had to teach me. It was terrifying going 30 miles an hour on a road next to cars. But I wouldn't have been able to do that. If I hadn't have created this model prior to doing that, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I really don't think so, because my feeling of determination came from my thought of I'll do whatever it takes. And I did whatever it took. I showed up every day. And I did that without resentment, without exhaustion, without burnout. I did that and I created the goal that I wanted, and I had success. I was accomplished, and I was still excited, even though it took me 5.5 hours and I had to walk a lot because I hadn't run and my back was still somewhat injured. Okay, so that's one way of seeing it through my health goal. Now, here's the new one that I'm working on right now. I'm starting this new business of a coaching practice, and I'm loving it. So my circumstance is to create a 6-figure coaching business. That's what I want to create. That's my goal for right now. That's my circumstance. Okay. So then I went down to my feeling line and I was like, what am I going to need to feel to be willing to show up every day and to start a new business that's kind of scary and new and different from what I've been doing for the last 25 years in my career? I mean, I was a mortgage loan officer and now I'm a life coach. It's very different. I'm still helping people, but just in a very different way. So the feeling that I wanted to create to be able to accomplish this new goal was I wanted to be excited and I wanted to be willing. I wanted to be willing to feel all the negative feelings that comes from the judgment and the just being scared to put yourself out there and the unknown and the doubt and the fear. So I wanted to be willing to feel all those feelings, but I wanted to be so excited to be creating this business and to be putting so much value out there in the world for you, because I get to help you. And that's amazing. So after I decided that those were the 2 feelings that I wanted, I was like, what thought am I going to need to feel or to think to be able to create those feelings? And the thought that I decided on for creating a 6-figure business was, of course, I'm going to get there. Of course. And so when I think that thought, not only does it bring excitement and willingness to me, but it brings openness. Because here's the thing, people. We tend to do this model with creating our results because we tie our worth into our goal. We don't think that we can feel happy or accomplished or successful or any of these good things unless we have accomplished the goal that we set out to do. But that's just not true. Our worth is not based off of what we do. Our worth just is. We just are worthy of all things. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of our presence. We are just worthy because God created us. So our worth doesn't come from these actions and it doesn't come from this result. And we can feel all these feelings way before doing any of this. So because I'm feeling excited and I'm feeling willing from the thought, of course I'm going to get there. I am willing to show up and do all the actions that might be uncomfortable or different or unknown or scary and have a little bit of doubt and putting myself out there. I'm willing to do all of that, and I'm willing to keep doing it until I create my result. Now, I have given myself 3 years to create a six-figure business. I know many coaches do it within the first year. I have other things. I'm homeschooling my kids full time. So I have put a time frame of 3 years for me. And for me, that's awesome. But here's the thing also. If I'm not at six figures in 3 years, I'm not just going to give up and be like, oh, didn't accomplish it. I failed. No, I'm just going to push the time frame out. I'll reanalyze at that point in time. But until now and until then, really until then, I'm still going to show up thinking, of course I'm going to get there, because of course I'm going to get there. At some point, I'm going to get there. I totally know it. And so I'm feeling excited and I'm feeling determined and I'm feeling willing, because I'm going to do all the things consistently to get me to where I want to be, to create my goal of a six-figure coaching business. Because I can't wait to help all of you. I can't wait to help all the tired moms start putting themselves first and be able to show up with more natural energy and love their families as much as they love themselves. I can't wait to get my program going for creating a real connection between you and your husband. And I'm sure that there's going to be so many other programs that comes along as I continue to work through this. It's amazing and I love it. So stop accomplishing your goals and creating burnout and exhaustion and resentment, and start creating your feeling first to allow you to do all the actions necessary and to create that goal that you want in your life.